cash, how would you feel?
I'll be extremely grateful.
Would anybody be able to get you in a bad mood for a little while?
Absolutely not.
Okay, Deanna, would you agree?
I would agree 100%.
If I said I'll give you the $1 million, matter of fact, I made it 10 million, but you couldn't wake up tomorrow, you're done. Would you take it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what you're both saying is that just waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million?
That's hell of a perspective. Yep, it is. It is.
Then why ain't you feeling that way every damn time you wake up?
Oh, shit. Damn, I never looked at it that way.
Nobody does, dude. That's why we get up and we're all bummed out. We have a bad day. This sucks, and that sucks. The world hates me, and that's not fair. And I can't lose weight because of this reason, and I can't get in shape, and I can't make money, and blah, 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 blah. Guys, we woke up. It's gonna be a good day. The question is how good is it gonna get?
Right.
And if it doesn't get as good as we want, guess what? Hopefully we wake up the next day.
Well, that's pretty damn good. Like, look, I'll clip it and I'll give everybody the link in the chat because look, some stuff pops up in your auto feed and it's like absolute rubbish, fights, things you don't want to see. And then other things pop up in your feed and like, okay, well, I'll give this 5 seconds. Where is this going? And if something captures your attention in 5 seconds, the way that captured my attention, and you watch it through to the end, you got to share it on the one hand. And also, it's a pretty damn good message in that corny clip with the corny music. And I agree, it's corny. That doesn't mean that it's not a damn good message. And it's like, I think about it from a different perspective. These people who get locked up and incarcerated for 6 months and pretrial detention, Jan 6ers abused, and everyone says, like they're coming out of this, they're going to have multi-million-dollar lawsuits. And it's like, all right, even if that's true, and I'm not convinced it is, some injustices just go unremedied. How much would someone have to pay you to be locked up in jail for a year? If someone says, I'll give you $10 million to go to jail for a year, be in prison for a year, who would say yes to that? I would not say yes to that. 100 million. I don't know that I would say yes to 100 million because I don't know if you come out of a year incarcerated, mentally unfazed, mentally unbroken. And so that is something that is a worthwhile message to remember every time you get up in the morning. And I smile and I give positive energy, except except on Twitter. There I give off a lot of good energy, just productive energy. But you wake up and sometimes it's a bit of a tedious grind. Every day feels like the same. Every day feels like you're spinning in a circle. And that is, I guess, God's blessing to have been able to wake up spinning in a circle. Good afternoon, everybody. This is not the official hard new time for Viva Fry in the Rumble Live Raid-a-thon network lineup that is amazing. It is Rumble's already there. It is creating what I call a network, not a network of friends, a network of information, a platform to Rumble and elevating Rumble above every other platform out there. Twitter is awesome. No shade on Twitter. Rumble, CommuTube is good for certain things. Short format, whatever, cat videos. You want long format analysis? Well, then you'll start on, what's the schedule? I don't know the schedule offhand yet. You'll get into the Steven Crowder, leading into Tim Pool, leading into Jeremy from the Quartering, leading into Viva. I think Redacted might be coming up this afternoon. We're going to find out. Rumble is replacing what was hitherto network television, which itself replaced non-network television, and it's an amazing thing to be a part of. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have you here. And for those of you who are new to the channel, Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler, live streaming, as always, trying to make sense of the world as we navigate through it. Now, we're going to have a special guest coming on in 10 minutes to talk about a phenomenon that is taking the world by storm. And I say taking America not by storm. There's been a rash of what we are referring to as swattings. I'm adding the H just to sound a little bit like Justin Trudeau. Swattings. There's been a rash of swattings, a rash of incidents targeting specific people within certain demographics. And there is a handle on Twitter, for those of you who don't know, let me make sure that I'm getting this, DataRepublican, and it says DataRepublican small r, who's going to come down and break down what's been going on, because DataRepublican, the entity, and I don't know who this person is, put out a pretty good breakdown of some anomalies, some similarities between those accounts, people that have been getting swatted in these days. But this is all coming on day one of Mr. Dan Bongino ascending to the rank of deputy director of the FBI. Dan Bongino, you all know him, and if you don't know him, I don't know where you've been. Had the most wildly influential. Popular is a trivial word. It's almost demeaning. The most influential podcast on Rumble. I think that Bongino was pivotal in a non-hyperbolic sense of getting Trump elected. I think the Bongino army that he created, that he spoke for, was integral in Trump getting elected. I think nobody had a bigger impact on the election than Dan Bongino. You got the Scott Pressler out of Pennsylvania, who meaningfully impactful in Pennsylvania. But Bongino, I think, might have been one of the lesser sung heroes of the Trump ascension to the election 2.0. And he got tapped for deputy director of the FBI. And because I'm an idiot, I'm thinking like, oh, great, good for you. And they're like, oh, are you going to be able to do the show? And no, I didn't even think about that at the time. He has now had to put on pause the project of the Bongino show, the Bongino army that he has built up for years, in sacrifice for service of country. It's not quite going off to war, but it's pretty damn close what Bongino has had to do. Leave the family that he made, the Bongino army, on Rumble, and go serve country. The pay is going to be less. You know, he will not be, what do they say? Politics is downstream from culture. He will not be the cultural titan that he was. But now he's going to go in there and clean up the FBI and integrally potentially getting to the bottom of this, what is it? The slew of swattings that we've seen recently. But I wanted to pull this up. It's just hilarious to see the way legacy media, which is in its death throes, reports on this. When was this from? This is from today. With the arrival of Bongino, Trump loyalists take command of the FBI. From his wildly popular podcast to the #2 post at the FBI, Dan Bongino joins Kash Patel, President Trump's former election surrogate, to lead the agency at a turning point. Do you know the amazing thing is, this is from today, this article. They talk about Trump loyalists take command of the FBI as if that's not exactly what Trump's government should consist of. This is not you don't hold the election of Democrat versus Republican, of Democrat surrogates or Democrat candidates or Democrat, and the people who work with them, taking over the government. He won the election. Now is not the time where it seems to be suggesting that, oh, he better get a few Democrats in there to represent. He won the election decisively, all swing states. What do they say now? The majority of the vote. But he's got loyalists taking command. That's what the election is for. Trump is in command. He's going to get the people who are going to put forward his agenda, which means de-weaponizing the FBI and cleaning that pee-pee-soaked heck hole up from what it was. In the closing minutes of his podcast, right-wing provocateur Dan Bongino made a promise. Joining the FBI as its deputy director, he acknowledged would require a stark change in approach after years of making his name as a pugilistic pundit. We're going to have to look up pugilistic. You don't think you see this? Aggressive or combative. The pugilistic tone he adopted was often reactive. It was a declaration of her pugilistic intent relating to boxing. Provocateur, pugilistic pundit. I think they're going for the alliterations as well. I have to stay out of the political space because it's the right thing to do, and it's the rules, he said during his last episode on Friday. He added, I'm not going there to be some partisan. His arrival on Monday as the FBI's second in command will test that promise, cementing a major shift at the nation's premier law enforcement agency, where he will join Director Kash Patel in overseeing a bureau of about 38,000 people. It puts two staunch Trump loyalists in charge of an agency long known for its tradition of independence. Collectively, they have the least leadership experience of any pair overseeing the FBI since its founding more than a century ago. Do you want to get into the founding of the FBI? New York Times? No? Oh, you guys aren't seeing the. Let me see something here. Let me bring this up to maximum so you can actually read the article. Bongino's experience is something else, and now he's going to go there to clean up the FBI at a time when the FBI has become the weaponized branch of the Democrat machine. And this was a problem to the point of discrediting an agency that was arguably set up in the first place to be a partisan agency. They're going to have to get to the bottom of a great many things. The FBI, for those of you who don't recall this long tradition that the New York Times refers to, the FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith, who falsified evidence, submitted it to a secret FISA court to obtain unlawful spy warrant renewals against Carter Page so that they could spy on Donald Trump in his first presidency. The FBI has become a weaponized apparatchik of the Democrat Party, and you need a couple of Trump loyalists in there, not to turn it into the 180 inverse of the Democrat weaponized apparatus, but what it was supposed to be. Something that actually fought criminals, terrorists, drug cartels, not pro-life protesters, not January 6th protesters. Now, do you remember this, by the way? But it's an amazing thing. We're going to get into a couple of without evidence. Back in the day, and I remember it. Remember when Trump said the Obama administration spied on our campaign? And I remember the headline at the time. Let me just see which one it was here. It was one of these. Yeah, there you go. This is the one from 2017. I screen grabbed these earlier today. A day after President Donald Trump claimed, without evidence, that the Obama administration had wiretapped him when he was a candidate, the White House sought to spin it as merely a request for the information and called on Congress to investigate. All we're saying is, let's take a closer look. Hey, they spied on him. The way they got out of this at the time is it wasn't a wiretap because it's the digital age. Nobody taps wires anymore. They spied on Trump, and we know it because the FBI attorney, Kevin Kleinsmith, falsified evidence and submitted it to a secret FISA court. But then it was the without evidence that I saw earlier today about the AutoPen and the Biden story, which we're going to get to in a bit. Trump claimed without evidence the Biden had no knowledge or approval of the documents that he was signing by EpiPen in Biden's case. I'm joking there. Without evidence was one of the catchphrases of the media to discredit what was otherwise truth and accurate. What they've got to do is get to the bottom of the swatting thing. And by the way, before our guest comes on, what time is it? Oh, we got a few minutes. Before our guest comes on, and they're going to pop on and explain the work that they've been doing so that Bongino Patel can go after the bigger fish. You know, there's massive fish. We can go for the Epstein client list fish. Then there's middle fish, which I would say the swatters are. And then there's small fish, you know, like custom border agents who are making false FEMA claims to get a few $1,000 for basement repairs. There's different size fish. This would be a good size fish to come home with. Patel, Bongino should go after this. And we're going to get there in a second. But before we even get there, because we are exclusively on Rumble and vivabarneslaw.locals.com, the sponsors of the day. We're here. What I wanted to get to were the sponsors of the day, which is Rumble App Store. That's one of them, people. The Rumble App Store. Everybody should download the app, period. You get instant notifications of live streams when they go live. Some people say, I don't get notifications. And I say, are you using the app? No, the app is essential for immediate real-time notifications. Looking for more freedom in your streaming? Download the Rumble app today and experience content like you've never experienced it before. Available on Android. Do a lot of people use Android? I use iOS, but probably shouldn't anyhow. iOS, you can take Rumble with you wherever you go, whether you're on the move or just relaxing at home. Want to enjoy it on the big screen? No problem. Rumble is also available on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, LG Smart TVs, and Samsung TV apps, giving you all the power of Rumble at your fingertips. Rumble is the platform that gives you the freedom to watch what you want, when you want to watch it, and it's got more influential, more accurate, more insightful analysis than you'll get on any cable television. Download the Rumble app today. Make sure that you search and follow my channel. You're already there. You know, Viva Fry, Quartering, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, Redacted. The amount of quality content on Rumble is immeasurable. You go to the link is in the description there. It's rumble. The URL. Here, I'll give everybody the URL because I think it's in the description, but you should check it out anyhow. That is the Rumble app. And then the other sponsor of today, which I drink every single morning, people, 1775 coffee. The most delicious coffee out there. By the way, they're gonna put the raffle for the vehicle is still out there for the Tesla. Every dollar you spend at 1775 coffee. Where's my coffee? Well, it's in the kitchen anyhow. 1775 coffee is the most delicious coffee out there. I drink a lot of coffee. I've arguably drink too much caffeine, but whatever. Mind your own business. Some of it's decent, and most of it, if you get it at the competition, is trash. I won't even mention their names. 1775 coffee is the best coffee out there. No weak brews, no burnt taste, just bold, small batch, single origin coffee that actually delivers. It's got an 85 plus cupping score, meaning it's not just good, it's specialty grade. And trust me, you can taste the difference. Dark roast when you want to wake up in the morning. Medium roast, if you're a little bit too soft for dark roast. Bada bing, bada boom. The Vitality Mushroom Blend packed with lion's mane. Reishi helps you improve cognitive abilities and tastes delicious, handpicked, roasted fresh, and made for those who stand for hard work, freedom, and coffee that actually delivers. Go to 1775coffee.com. Use promo code VIVA. Get you 15% off. Start your morning with something that stands for something. And by the way, as you know, every dollar enters you in the raffle to win the Tesla Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. All right, links are in the description. Now, when we get our guest in here, because I think they're in the backdrop, I see them. I don't know how to introduce them because I don't know what I don't know anything about the person in order to potentially say something that I'm not allowed to say. DataRepublican, ready to come in when you are. And I'm told that it's going to be a robot voice, which is going to make me feel like I'm on some investigative journalism from the 80s, where like I'm busting people for doing illegal things. Do I have to let them in no, they're in the backdrop. So DataRepublican, who's going to explain, I'm going to bring up the tweet actually while we talk about this. DataRepublican, if you want to let yourself in, I don't think you're blocked on my end. Let me see something here. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Mute.
There you go. No, who's that?
Okay, is this working?
This is working. I can see you. You're
excellent.
Okay.
So how do you want to lead this?
Say that again.
How do you want to lead this discussion?
Oh, I want to bring up the tweet and I'll have you explain what you did and how you did it. Okay. Very cool. By the way, just introduce yourself to the world for those who may not know, and I'm going to bring up the tweet as we do this. Okay, here we go. DataRepublican. Let me bring this up and bring this down. Okay, here we go. It's coming up now. I just want to make sure that I got... Okay. So this is you put out an amazing thread about breaking down the data as who is getting swatted, the patterns, the overlap. The first question that I have for you is when we use the word swatting, I noticed some people making jokes about pizza, and I'm not trying to be glib. Are we using swatting police showing up with guns drawn, or people having things sent to their places, which is evidence that someone knows where they live?
Yes. So. I think the key here is that everyone who's been swatted has their real names known. And most of those names are fairly unique. And unfortunately, if you know someone's name, you can easily get their address. I think that's as simple as that.
Thus far, we don't have any idea if it's one individual doing a lot of these, if it's a group, if it's organized. Do we know any of that?
So, if you look at my most recent tweet on my profile, I compiled a timeline of all the swatters. Can you please pull that one up?
Yeah, let me do this to make sure. So I'm going to go to DataRepublican. Just want to make sure I don't accidentally. So the thread here, tell me, I'm going to bring this back up and you'll tell me which one we want to bring up here. Okay, so tell me when to stop. Oh, the swatting timeline. Here we go. Okay, this one right here?
Yeah, It's like a timeline of all the swatters, down to the hour and minute.
So are these swattings of police only, or
So,
any?
we'll see some important patterns. First, none of the times overlap.
If I
Most
may,
swatting are at least an hour apart. And some of them are regular. Like, happening every hour, every 2 hours. But the biggest thing that makes me think it's one group or one individual is that there were no swatting at all on Friday afternoon or Saturday at all. At least not that I was able to find.
Are these swattings necessarily involving police, or any form of sending something to someone's house?
They were all reported swatting involving police. Now, I did not verify them all. But I think for the most part they are true, except maybe one person.
And now I'm looking at these. Chase Geyser, Infowars, Nick Sortor apparently went to the wrong house. Cat Turd. Have you been in touch with authorities about your data, your findings, or do you know if they've had access to this?
Well, Ed Martin liked my post. So I know he's at least looking at my tweets. My husband is going over to the police today. To make sure that they know we are a target.
Am I allowed asking if you work with or for X?
I am not working with anyone in an official capacity.
Okay. And so these are on, this has been going on for about a week now. There has not been any connection that you've drawn or been able to draw between the murder of Jamie White and any of the potential swattings thus far, or that's so far is a standalone, seemingly random criminal incident?
I haven't looked too much into Jamie White. His family seems to believe that was a random killing. But I do find it curious these swattings started after the cyber attacks.
The cyber attack, which was last week on both Rumble and X.
Yes, correct.
Have you seen? I've only seen a limited amount of video footage of anyone who caught these on their Ring cameras. Have you seen video footage of any of the swattings listed here?
Yes, most of them do have videos listed on their profiles. And I've talked to most people on the list. And while I can't say they definitely are telling the truth, they have been very open and transparent about their experience. And the most recent information I have is that these are like staged incidents. Now I don't want to share too much detail, but they are very, very realistic. It's almost scary how realistic they are. Like, they are firing what sounds like real guns in the background. And it's absolutely staged. To get the police to go in and kill these influencers.
I'm going to bring this chat up from our locals community, which says that you only recently came out public because you were doxxed. Are you able to speak to that? I don't want to ask a question that I shouldn't ask.
Yeah. So the doxing thing was interesting. It came from a member of the deaf community. A really bad guy who doxes others. He doxxed many other deaf people in the past, including a gay deaf man. Put him in danger. But it's interesting. The deaf community seems to be kind of defending him instead of me. Even though he's hurt many other deaf people. Anyway, it's just a complicated situation.
For anybody, so you put together a list, and you sort of also didn't name names, but mentioned that there might be people within the periphery who are potential next targets. I've who, without naming names, who might those potential in the ambit of targets be?
I think the highest priority targets. If you are like an ex-influencer and your real name is known, then you absolutely should consider yourself a target. The thing everyone has in common is that they use X as their primary platform. And I think this is a terrorist attack against X people.
Now I've asked some people privately, for those who might be nervous or might think they're a target, anything specific that people can do, not to minimize the risk of someone phoning something in, but to take proper precautions. Is there anything? I mean, I have minimal experience with this. Do you have any advice of potential things that people can do to mitigate risks?
Yes. I did have the police come in once in this way. Not a swatting, but they did hold a gun to my head. This was a long time ago. So what you need to do is, you must absolutely hold your hands out in full clear view. So like this. And do not reach into your pockets. Do not give them any reason to think you're going to pull a weapon. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. It makes sense, and it makes sense why some of the people, why they choose certain tactics when raiding certain people, for what I believe to be to deliberately trigger a response.
I don't move. I wish I knew.
Well, it's I mean, I'd say it could be very terrifying for some people. It could be a good wake up call for others. You are primarily on X at DataRepublican with a lowercase r? Amazing. I don't know your name. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask it. I won't ask it, but you can tell me if I'm allowed to. But thank you very much. I mean, first of all, it's a very interesting analysis. I did read somewhere that a lot of the people, if not all of them, who were swatted were also on that Ukrainian list. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't think most of them are on an Ukrainian list. Maybe one or two. But these are big names for the most part. Like Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. DataRepublican, thank you very much. Everyone's gonna digest this and keep following it, and maybe we'll start. We got Bongino in, and maybe he'll start focusing on actual. He will. He's hell bent on this, so hopefully we'll see some improvements there. Thank you very very much for coming on, and we'll stay in touch via DM. All right, everybody, thank you. Before I'm a little not. I didn't know what I was. I didn't know that was going to be that way, because when I understood there was going to be a robotic voice, I thought it was going to be for retaining confidentiality of voice and being. And so, me that I'm totally neurotic when I warn everybody when they come on, if they activate their camera, we're going to see them. And then I was nervous that for a second, maybe the person who was using an automated voice had just revealed their face. But now I understand why she's using it. She's deaf, and I can understand. I was reading the transcription of what I was saying, which was very interesting. So y'all got the link. This is the link to her account right here, and it's worth following, obviously, because it's an amazing analysis of what's going on there. The timing is interesting, and it seems to be a coordinated effort. So that is it. Let me see what's going on with the. I don't want to fall too far behind here. Tim's final graphics card says raid from the quartering. We coming. We got Martha, my dear, says, I haven't been on Viva Fry channel in a while. Glad to be back. Thanks for all you do. Martha, my dear, thank you very much. What do we got? King of Biltong is in the house. Looking for some healthy snacks to add to your diet. Well, you know what I can do? Hold on a second. I'll do it this way. I might not be able to because I didn't have it open with the things in the back. You know what? Okay, it's not gonna load them, so I'm gonna have to do it this way. Looking for some healthy snacks. This is from King of Biltong. Add some biltong to your diet. Try our biltong, 50% protein plus it's backed with B12, creatine, iron, and zinc, and much more. Go to biltongusa.com. Code VIVA for 10% off. We got Nike7 who says, brother, you are going to be the Joe Rogan in this new space. I am very excited for you. FC. What does FC stand for? Thank you very much, Nike7. Waterbody says, fun fact, out of the lineup, I subscribed to you first. Glad to see you in this lineup. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing what's going on. And it's quite a time to be alive. Viva, explain that she is nonverbal so people are not confused. I'll do it now because I actually didn't know heading into the interview. And I was freaking out internally because I thought she accidentally activated her camera. But now it's very interesting. I did not know that she was doxxed by a member of the deaf community. And yeah, it's wild. We've talked about these FBI raids, the 6 o'clock dawn raids with Alpha Warrior, where they do flashbangs for someone who they know is locked and loaded, hoping that he comes to the front door with a gun so they can execute him summarily, like they did to the 70-some-odd-year-old guy who was allegedly putting out Facebook threats to Joe Biden. It's by design, and it's a form of domestic terrorism in the actual literal sense, not the hyperbolic everybody I don't like is Hitler sense. Forced name change says, I asked yesterday if public could remove a judge. We decided no. That is practically incorrect. Answer won't fit in Super Chat, so I put it in an X reply and a quote to your handful of apartments. Forced name change. And we got Hans speak no Friday afternoon or Saturday swatting. I wouldn't draw that connection from it. Is it an observant Jew or Seventh-day Adventist? If it were hypothetically, if it were going to be someone who was observant, they would automate calls so that it would happen, so that they would specifically not, have that layer of protecting the identity. Oh, Francis Charton. Okay, man. Well, Francis is actually the one who DM'd me with DataRepublican's tweet. And so thank you Francis. Thank you very much. That worked out extremely, extremely well. Whoa. All right, everybody. And now that we are only exclusively on Rumble, I don't have to say, well, now we're going to end on YouTube. YouTube will get the stale leftovers of this stream when I publish it afterwards, live and for our local screen. Let me go to locals and see what's going on here. What's going on in locals? We got Are You Kidding says, put camera around the house. This way you can see what's happening and call 911. Look, not that I'm nervous about these things, but there's no but. We're in a community where I think we have good neighbors, and all that to say, we have 360 cameras around the house, everywhere. I see everything. And I got that Ring doorbell also, which captures me freaking out when I walk out the front door and see an opossum there. Let's see what else. This is good. Should talk to her about data. Law fan. I think we'll do this again for sure. And then Lefson says she seems a bit nervous and concerned. The hand thing is something a close friend wife did when she was nervous and worried. It telegraphs the emotion so much more than just facial expressions. I can't imagine what it would be like to be swatted if being deaf and not being able to having that level of disjunct in communication between an individual who's deaf and mute as well, potentially, from what I understand, and police officers who are nervous already coming in on what they think might be something of a violent event. So that is it. Pay attention to it, people. And yeah, that's it. All right, now, we're not going to go straight to the Canadian stuff yet, but we are going to go to the Canadian stuff because, as many of you know, I am a Canadian still. Until we'll see. One thing I can tell you, if I ever run for office in America, I will expect people to expect me to have renounced my Canadian citizenship. I do not think anybody carrying more than one passport should hold office in a country. Full stop, without exception. And that applies for anyone who's going to say, oh, what about Israel, Viva? Yeah, nobody serving in the government of a country should have a passport to another country, because loyalty will always be an issue, if not only a concern. We're going to get to Mark Carney, speaking of 3 passport-carrying WEF globalist whores, but we're going to get there only after we talk about the Dems in America are not yet done trying to sink America. And if they didn't learn their lessons about the wildly unpopular nature of the vast majority of their views, girls can have penises and boys can have periods. If they didn't learn the consequences, the political ramifications of espousing unscientific, misogynist policies, well, now they're off to defend straight up gang members, designated terrorist gang members. Let me see. Is this the right one here? Oh, no, that's the pardons. We're going to get to the pardon pen in a bit also. Who was it that was taken? It's just amazing. We talked about it yesterday with Barnes about Trump invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a 227-year-old piece of legislation that might have been designed not specifically for this scenario, because I doubt this scenario was on the realm of the legislators' minds back in 1798, but the same principles were. So you apply it mutatis mutandis, meaning change it for the circumstances so that it applies to the current circumstance. He invoked the Aliens Emergencies Act to deport a designated terrorist group, Trena de Aragua, gang members, and a judge came out and said, no, temporary restraining order issued, and you don't get to deport designated terrorist criminal gang members. We're going to get to the steel manning of it in a second. I just want to make sure it's that who's the woman from The Five? I made a joke. She's clearly number 5 on The Five. Yeah, we're gonna bring this up after. But let's read the article for now, because the judge issued the order. Not only that Trump cannot invoke the Alien Enemies Act to deport designated criminal, illegal, gang member aliens, He ordered the planes on which these designated terrorist, criminal, illegal aliens were flying and ordered them to be turned back to America. And I made the joke yesterday that, it was one of two things. Like, all right, that's a very nice order, Mr. Judge. Come and enforce it. Also, there's 10 planes in the sky. Only 2 of them actually have the designated terrorist, criminal, gang, illegal aliens on them. And if you order the return of the wrong planes, well, then, okay, fine. My mistake. You didn't order the right planes to be turned back. Trump went another route. He basically said, international waters, biatch. I can't do anything. Out of jurisdiction. This is from Axios, so you know it's going to be garbage. Exclusive, how the White House ignored a judge's order to turn back deportation flights. The Trump administration says it ignored a Saturday court order to turn around 2 plane loads of alleged Venezuelan gang members because the flights were over international waters and therefore the ruling didn't apply, 2 senior officials said. Why it matters? Well, we're not yet done pushing the boys can have periods and girls can have penises. Her penis. We're not yet done with the her penis political stance, people. Right now we are, you don't get to deport designated terrorist criminal gang members. The administration's decision to defy the federal judge's order is exceedingly rare and highly controversial. Court order defied, first of many I've been warning, and start of true constitutional crisis, said Mark Zaid, a Trump critic, who wrote on X, adding that Trump could ultimately get impeached. Yeah, impeach him for deporting criminal gang members. Yeah, the White House welcomes that fight. This is headed to the Supreme Court and we're going to win. Senior House. Okay, state of play. Trump's advisors contend U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, the corruption of which we got into yesterday, but in Cryptus, if you're in the backdrop and want to mention or bring up something to attest to the corruption of Judge Boasberg, intimately involved in the Steele dossier attempt to unseat a duly elected president, intimately involved with the January 6th persecutions. They argue he overstepped his authority by issuing an order that blocked the president from deporting 250 alleged Trinidad de Aragua gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. How it happened, White House Deputy of Staff Stephen Miller orchestrated the process in the West Wing. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. The timeline. The president signed the executive order invoking the Alien Enemies Act on Friday night, but intentionally did not advertise it on Saturday morning. Word of the order leaked, officials said, prompting a mad scramble to get planes in the air. This is wild. 2:31 p.m. Saturday. An immigration activist who tracks deportation flights posted on X 2 highly unusual ICE flights were departing from Texas to El Salvador, which had agreed to accept the Venezuelan gang members deported from the U.S. hours later during a court hearing filed by the ACLU. By the way, also in Cryptus in the back, if you could, I know the ACLU has also been defending biological males to compete against biological females. So I know that the ACLU has also taken the wildly popular misogynist men get to compete against women stance, if I'm not mistaken. But if you can pull that up as well, I'll get it afterwards. Boasberg ordered a halt to the deportations, said any flights should be turned around midair. Be damned if there's even enough gas to bring the planes back. Both flights were in the Yucatan Peninsula, according to flight paths posted on X. Inside the White House, they were already outside of U.S. airspace. We believe the order is not applicable. Okay. Yes, but the Trump administration was already spoiling for a fight over the Alien Enemies Act, one of several fronts on which they believe legal challenges to the president's authority will only end up strengthening it when the Supreme Court rules in his favor. Between the lines, let's see what they say between the lines. The Trump White House is not denying it ignored the judge's order and instead wants to shift the argument to whether it was right to expel alleged members of Trinidad de Agua. Do you notice how many times I use the word alleged here? Let me just say this here. It's amazing. When they want to use the word alleged, 4 times. We don't, alleged. It's an amazing thing. They're alleged gang members, but they're definitively in a country without permission. Definitively. Now, who's the brainiac on Twitter? Is it this one right here? Yeah, it's her. Let's follow this Twitter thread all the way through. So much for the court stopping them in respect of this this article. This is from Jessica Tarlov. You may know her as being number 5 on the 5 Fox News. Then she goes down here and says it wasn't proven that they're all gang members. Plus, if the Alien Enemies Act allows for this, that's why the judge ordered them to stop the flights. I want gang members, criminals out. Not sure why the Trump admin can't spend an extra 5 minutes and do it the right way. What would that be? Like, does she specify what the right way is? Yeah, and it's like it channels the Martha. Do you hear yourself? Just a handful of criminal gangs taking over apartment complexes. It wasn't proven that they're all gang members. It was proven that some of them were gang members. They were all illegals. I mean, they all didn't have visas, proper visas. They all, I mean, they even had passports. And there was a promotional video that was put out, which I can understand why some people find it crass, a highly produced government video deporting these criminal gangs, and like drone footage, and they're showing pictures of the tattoos on them. I think they spent the 5 minutes to make sure that they weren't deporting nannies. And you're going to get Judge Boasberg, like Barnes said yesterday, turn that plane around, get him on a bus, and drop him in front of Boasberg's house. Drop him in front of, what's her name? Jessica Tarlov's house. Take the 5 minutes. Make sure that they're all criminal gang members, as opposed to just illegal aliens. And they have been deported. They were dropped in El Salvador, and now they're in prison there. And by the way, if you think it's ambiguous as to whether or not these people who were just deported were criminal gang, Trena de Aragua, just go look at some videos. I think that at the very least, the due diligence as to who they're making the examples of now are the good examples. So they're gone. And there will be a Supreme Court fight over this. And now, from what I understand of the Alien Enemies Act, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, if the courts want to come in and say, no, you do not get to deport criminal gang members who are members of the most violent and notorious gangs on earth, well, holy hell. The court system will lose even more face, but the broader problems will be even worse than that. Forced name change. Hold on a second. Let's get to number 1 of 2. Forced name change says 1 of 2. The public can remove a judge. They do so by writing to their representative and informing them that if they do not vote to impeach, they will not be reelected. Requires follow through. 2 of 2. If enough letters are written, 1 of 2 things will happen. The judge is either impeached or removed, or you get a new representative who represents you. Forced name change says 100% nervous and trigger happy cops plus deaf swatting victim is a recipe for disaster. Absolutely. Cultivated Mind says, congratulations on streaming deal, Viva. Love your work and you deserve it. Thank you very much. Dessert is a weird thing. Nobody can, but it's a random happenstance. Good luck. And I just spat on my computer. That's great. Look what just happened there.
Nice. You probably shouldn't spit on your machine. When you get a chance, you'll break something. Look in our private chat for a whole bunch of links for you.
All right, now let me see here. How do I decide? If I cut and can you bring them up? Can you bring up the one, the ACLU.news, LG? You know what? Never mind. I can probably do it here just as easily. And we're going to get into the Canadian stuff after this, because I know that what I've seen from the ACLU. This is your donation helps. ACLU 4 myths. Oh, 4 myths about trans athletes debunked. Upholding trans athletes' rights requires rooting out the inaccurate beliefs underlying harmful policy. Do I want to read this? For years, state law.
No, you really don't.
Well, let me see. What are they going to say? Including trans athletes will benefit everyone. Trans athletes do not have an unfair advantage in sports. Women and girls who are trans face discrimination and violence that makes it difficult to even stay in school. Trans athletes vary in athletic ability, just like cisgender athletes. I'm a person's genetic.
It gets better.
I'm going to, before I get to the fact, trans girls are girls. Fact. This is retarded propaganda. There's literally no other word for this. A person's genetic makeup and internal and external reproductive anatomy are not useful indicators of athletic performance, according to Dr. Josh. I'm going to have to see who this guy is. For a trans woman athlete who meets NCAA standards, there is no inherent reason why her physiological characteristic related to. Fun fact: trans girls are girls. Girls who are trans are told repeatedly they are not real girls. And boys who are trans are told they are not real boys. Non-binary people are told their gender is not real and that they must be either boys or girls. None of these statements are true. Trans people are exactly who we say they are. This is real. Hold on, I just got to close my door here. This is absolute insanity. Trans people belong on the same teams as others. They belong on teams. It's not hard. Sex by birth. It's insane. Okay, this is crazy. What else do we have back here? And more ACLU. See what this one has to say. I can't. No, I can't. I can't go on. It's going to make people's brains melt. It's insanity.
It literally gets worse. So don't click on the next two then.
Which one? The follow-up advocate.com?
Oh, yes. That does all of the science behind it from that point of view.
For everybody who doesn't know who Encryptus is, he's a member of our locals community. He's a big brain, and I like to say that he is my Jamie, but I think he might be the bigger part of my brain. Let me see here. What do we got here? What does the science say about transgender women? And that means, what does it say about men in sports? Okay, it's time to look at it. Let's see. Political campaigns. Let's close this. Legal experts note the executive orders cannot override. Okay, I don't. How does a gender-affirming care affect trans athletes? There are great variations among cisgender athletes, he noted. Differences in height. Cisgender, so that's to say the same sex. Okay, but no one seems to worry about those. That's false, you stupid. I'm done. That's it. Oh, nobody worries about those. That's exactly why you have weight categories in wrestling, fighting, jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts. You can't have height limits in sports, but that's why basketball players tend to be tall. That's why, oh my goodness. Okay, deny reality, people. It was the last order of the party. 2 + 2 = 5. Deny the evidence of your ears and eyes. It was the final order of the party. Oh, now, speaking of denying the evidence of your ears and eyes, the other news of the day is the, what they're calling the, I want to make a joke, the EpiPen. It's not the EpiPen. It's the AutoPen. Joe Biden's AutoPen, which was basically the intellectual equivalent of his EpiPen, because now it's come to light that Joe Biden, if he knew what he was signing, which is a big if, because we're going to get back to that, but at the very least, he was signing with an AutoPen. And now Trump, and this is where you understand, like, you're dealing with people who are either stupid or who deliberately misunderstand things so they can deliberately misinform others. Trump puts out a truth post. This is relating to the AutoPen scandal, which is going to be a scandal of epic proportions. And it's going to raise a lot of legal questions, not because of the AutoPen in and of itself, but because of the evidence of Joe Biden having had no idea what he was signing towards the end of his presidency. Remember that without evidence from the beginning is going to come back into play here. And whenever they say without evidence, there was always ample evidence in every one of those circumstances. Donald John Trump, the, quote, pardons, end quote, that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared. I can't understand how this pisses people off so much. Yeah, I've declared they're null and void. Done. And someone's going to do that to yours, Trump. We'll get there. They're declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect. This is awesome. Whether you like it or not, if you hate it because of how awesome it is. And if you like it, you love it because of how awesome it is. Adam Schiff for Brains McSchiff is going to sit there thinking, I've got a pardon. You can't go, yeah, okay, you got a pardon. Now argue it. Because of the fact that they were done by AutoPen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the unselect committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other people, innocent people, should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. Bongino? Looks like the memo came in. When was this sent? Yesterday. This is like Bongino goes in the office, steps into his office, first day as deputy director of the FBI, and he's got one note on his to-do list, and it's this. Let me see where I just lost my thought here. Have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the unselected who destroy yada yada, and many others they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. Now, for those of you who say Donald Trump says something without evidence, ridiculous. You know what the amazing thing is? If I didn't know who Yashar Ali was, I would say it's ridiculous that Joe Biden was actually signing things with AutoPen. It's ridiculous that what Donald Trump said is probably the truth. And everybody out there, Trump is saying again without evidence. Do you not think that he has sufficient evidence now that he's got the keys to the vault What were some of the things, Encryptus, if you can remember this, some of the things that he said where we knew that he knew more about what he was saying when he said it. The chat's going to get it because there were several examples where Trump says something and everyone's like, oh, he's making it up. It would be the wiretapping would have been the classic example where if you think he was saying that, pulling it straight out of his ass, you're very naive and delusional. Trump has more information than the rest of us, arguably more information than anybody. If you think he's going to come out and make an outright falsehood, you suffer from TDS. What he might do and what he has done is be a little bit hyperbolic, a little bit over the top in terms of how he's describing it. He might even be making strategic mistakes in how he's describing it. When he came down and, when he first ran for office and said they're sending their rapists, he says things in a hyperbolic manner that gets people to pull against what he's saying, only later to have to face the fact that what he said was by and large true, maybe a little bit of an exaggeration. I don't even think it's the case in most of the circumstances. When he said that he was wiretapped, he might have known that he wasn't wiretapped. If it's a strategic mistake to get people to defend a position that's going to be proven false afterwards, that might be why he does it. When he comes out and says he signed by AutoPen, he probably had no idea what the hell he was signing, and that the people who wanted the pardons were probably pushing the papers, not even in front of his face anymore, because you don't need to have it in front of your face to sign with AutoPen. You think he doesn't know that that's probably more true than not true? He's going to make up a bald-faced lie that's easily demonstrably false and then get totally debunked. No, more likely than not. And who was it that came out and talked about how the fact that he didn't know what the hell he was doing? I don't want to bring up the without evidence thing again, primarily because I closed the window. But remember the without evidence. Now, you know what? I'm going to do it anyhow because I need to. Without evidence. Trump claimed without evidence that Biden had no knowledge or approval of the documents. Okay, interesting. I remember there being evidence that Biden had no idea. I mean, it's hearsay evidence, it's testimonial evidence, but I remember hearing evidence that Biden had no idea what the hell was going on. Do you all remember what Speaker Johnson said? Speaker Johnson tells a story about experiencing Biden's cognitive decline. This is from The Blaze. He tried to argue with me and tell me that he didn't do. Oh, well, I don't need to read it. Here, listen.
But there's a now widely reported story of something that happened. I think it was in early February of last year when I was in the Oval Office and I asked him why he paused LNG exports. Like, Mr. President, why would you pause liquefied natural gas exports to our European allies? Because they're going to have to go to Vladimir Putin to get their needs met. And he tried to argue with me and tell me that he didn't do that. And it occurred to me in this dialogue that he genuinely did not know what he had signed. That they had put this executive order in front of him and he didn't understand what it was. And that was a very alarming moment of realization for me. And I think the whole country knows now. But it was a dangerous time, a very perilous time for us, particularly in that last year of his administration. But thank God that President Trump is back in the White House and we can restore that.
And I don't think that's taking the Lord's name in vain. I think he literally thanks God that they didn't start World War III before Biden left office. So when those jackasses come out and say without evidence, that's evidence right there. That Speaker Johnson, with his own firsthand experience of Joe Biden not knowing what he signed, is evidence to me. Then they found a way probably to bypass even having to require him to affix his physical signature via the AutoPen. And so there's a bunch of jackasses out on the internet, excuse me for using cuss words, who say, if we do this, if we allow him to bring this back, if we allow Trump to override Biden's pardons, well, someone's just going to override Trump's pardons, and it's a dangerous precedent to set. It's not that he signed by AutoPen. It's that it was signed by AutoPen specifically because it was never submitted to him for his taking cognizance, because he was physically incapable of taking cognizance, and they might have, if it turns out that someone had access to his AutoPen and affixed it to documents digitally that he never saw, never approved, and did not know of. Well, that might be grounds for arguing that they were not presidential pardons. Now, some people on our Twitter feed and in our locals community rightly observe all that he has to say is, I'm aware of the pardons, and therefore it becomes a valid pardon. True. That's the evidence that we need right now in order to determine whether or not these are bona fide valid pardons. Did he even know about them? Is he capable of knowing about them? Now, I'm sure that I have to actually, now that I think about this, I'm sure there might be videos where he's talking about some of the pardons, certainly his son. Let me see here. Why is this one all in bold? Why wasn't that asshat speaker taking action to protect America at that time? What the fuck? That's a very fair question. Bishopper. They knew it for a long time. Some might say that there's some nefarious reasons for which they did not do anything at that time. So that's the question. If it's not just an AutoPen, because you can digitally sign documents and they're valid, we do it all the time with DocuShare, whatever the hell that is. Sorry, sign my tax forms. But if someone were to have gotten access to my DocuShare, whatever the hell that thing is called, and signed a document on my behalf without my knowledge, it would be grounds for invalidating that document. If it turns out that Biden actually had no idea what the hell was going on and that they abused of his AutoPen to sign a bunch of pardons for the unselect committee of criminals and scoundrels, yeah, I would like to see that go to court and have a court adjudicate on whether or not AutoPen signature without the knowledge of the person whose signature the AutoPen is replicating is a valid contract and a binding contract. And that is it. We're not done yet, but we'll see. Did you see that Alina Habba? Did you see Alina Habba in Biden's fake Oval Office? I didn't see that. What I did see, however, is people putting together a montage of Trump's, what looks like it might be a digital signature on all of the Jan 6 pardons, saying, oh, well, I guess all of the Jan 6 pardons are void and invalid. First of all, no, because Trump quite clearly approved of them and ordered them. And even if it's a digital signature, he has the knowledge of it, and that's not in dispute. Therefore, not analogous. You're not comparing comparable. So congratulations on being an idiot. Okay. I feel better. Do we go back to, do we go to Canada? Let me go over to Viva Barnes Law, datlocals.com, and see what's going on here. Chien Visage, which means dog face, says Minnesota TDS addendum, Democrat and other contend that TDS is not a legitimate condition and argue that no clinical data supports its existence. They say that instead it is a political label used to dismiss criticism of the president. Some also point out that TDS could apply to diehard Trump supporters who defend Trump uncritically regardless of facts or consequences. Then we got a special SOV over in Locals who says, when you sign either digitally or live, you are attesting to knowing what you are signing is the law. Why every time you have to sign in person? Oh, and then Bill Brown says, how about in the fake Oval Office? Well, I want to see that as well. There was a tipped question over in Viva Barnes Law. Datlocals.com says, Viva, you have your own Jamie. It's official. You're a big deal. Ha ha. Wait, who did that come from? That was from Sammy or Sami. Oh, Lordy. Well, this is going to be fun. I like this. First of all, I actually like the afternoon schedule a little more because I get to do my research in the morning, go for exercise. And it seems that we have a couple of trolls over in Rumble, but I guess when you're there's a certain we've reached a certain volume that we're going to have some trolls in the chat. But everyone's free to be a troll, but if you spam, that's when you're going to get kicked out. Let me see what's good here. Okay, so we're gonna raid somebody. Awesome comma will do before ending period. Going to go for another 30 minutes or so. So I'm going to rate. Who are we rating today? This is going to be amazing. It's going to be, looks like Kimberly Guilfoyle, if I'm not mistaken. It is. Okay, now I have to make sure what I do. Sorry, guys. We will get very smooth at this. What prompt, again, do I do? Question mark. Raid / and the link question mark. Okay, we're going to see about this. We're going to get there in a second. Going back to tipped question or whatever these Humble rants are on Humble. Crafting with Bits says, it seems all you would need is a digital evidence of time, place of digital signature, and proof Biden wasn't at location at that time. Not necessarily because, well, no, the digitally could have been done anywhere. That's the whole thing about it. But also what it would require is that he didn't know. Okay, just getting some more stuff here. D-Day Man, D-Day Man 3 says, you should invite Joe Rogan onto your show. Lately, he's become much more aware of the radical left's tactics and views. Look, Rogan doesn't go on other people's. I don't think. Well, I mean, he goes on. He's got his network and he goes on shows, but I'm not quite there yet. But we're gonna have some good guests coming on this week, or at least this week. Next week, I'm gonna do some pre-recording, and it's gonna be fantastic. So stay tuned. Bill Dozer says it is /raid, then the URL. Thank you, Bill Dozer. Let me just make sure. Not that I want to Okay, /raid before URL. Okay, I got the official confirmation. This will get smooth. Perfect, comma, will do, exclamation point. But before we do, we're not ending the stream, but we're going to go to our locals afterwards, and we're going to have our locals after party. Then you're going to go raid Kimberly Guilfoyle. But what we're going to do before we do that is just get to Canada. Just get to Canada a little bit, people. I'm going to play this. I wanted to play this yesterday, but I think I forgot to start the show with it. Now, for those of you who don't speak French, what it says is, Carney, il veut tellement éviter les journalistes qu'il se trompe d'escalier. It says, Carney so wants to avoid the journalists that he makes a mistake on the staircase that he's getting on. Look at this.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carnier. Bonjour, ça va? Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire de la rencontre qui s'en vient?
So he says, can you... hold on. Actually, I want to try to hear what they're saying. What can you tell us about the...
Bonjour, Monsieur Carnier. Bonjour, ça va? Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire de la rencontre qui s'en vient?
De la rencontre. What can you tell us about your upcoming meeting?
Sir, I want to go up here. I want to go up here. It's up there. Okay. How are you feeling?
I have to get. I'm lost. Just pale too.
What are your first priorities?
First priorities, we're going to deal with the carbon tax.
First priority is going to deal with the carbon tax.
Yes, we are.
First priority is going to deal with the it's funny. I remember watching the debate, and I remember the first priority was going to be something different, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just refresh everybody's memory as to what the first priority was supposed to be.
Mr. Carney, days later, you become prime minister. What's your first move?
First move.
I'll pick up on a few things. First, entirely agree with what Karina just said.
By the way, this was a leadership debate where he entirely agreed with both of his adversaries. That's what we call an orgy of agreement.
First item, I would call it a First Ministers meeting as opposed to Council of Federations, but First Ministers meeting, sharing the plan, but also developing our broader response, our broader domestic response, including project. Secondly, entirely agree with Christian. Dollar for dollar tariffs, maximum impact on the United States, minimal impact here in Canada. Thirdly, put them on notice on the broader aspects of our commercial relationship.
Listen to this.
We are their largest supplier of energy. We are their largest supplier of electricity. We are their largest supplier of uranium. I could go on, but I will exhaust all my time. There is the first signs in the United States now of the economic impact of the Trump policies. We will amplify that, and that will begin to create the leverage. And then I will call President Trump.
And then you'll call President Trump.
Well,
but look at his the way he, like, his cocky, like, I'm a big rooster. Look at this.
And then I will call President Trump.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's going to be a long day.
Oh,
okay,
it's going to be a long day. Well, you've already had your first day. The first thing you're supposed to do was all this nonsense and then call Donald Trump. You didn't even do that. You know what you did today, Mark Carney? You went to France. Let me see here. Where is this? Yeah. This is what Carney did today. Emmanuel Macron, you have chosen France for your first visit abroad. It is a great honor, and it highlights the importance of the relationship between Canada and France. Very happy welcome to you. Look at these people who think that they are just gods among men. Beautiful form-fitting suits. They've got their military protecting them. Oh gosh, they're just such beautiful. They are above us mere mortals. There's a reason why WEF 3 passport carrying globalist lackey chose to visit Macron, France first. You know, a country that locks up people who own social media companies, censors on the internet so that people can't adequately share the video evidence of the disastrous immigration policies that are tearing the country apart. Yeah, there's a reason why he went there first. And just to highlight, you know, what is going on in Canada right now that this man is at the helm of. He has yet to make a definitive announcement of an election. Some people are saying it's coming sooner than later because election offices are getting set up, whatever. He hasn't committed to an election. He's the unelected, anointed, newly handpicked Prime Minister of Canada. And just to highlight some of the madness that is going on in Canada. I love this. We're going to follow down the Twitter thread here. Look at this. Almost every made in USA item is untouched. I've never seen anything like this before. Canadians are making their voices heard with their wallets. Truly impressive. We're going to get back to that one in a bit. But this other guy, Jeffrey Luscombe. Fun fact, if the tariff thing were to be resolved tomorrow, I still wouldn't buy American goods whenever possible for at least 4 years. Ha ha ha. Elbows up, Canada strong, buy Canadian. The man is selling his book on Amazon.com, an American-owned company. The man is tweeting out his virtue signal opposition to American products on an American app. This is the level of brainwashing that is currently going on in Canada, and all too many people are falling for it. And I want to highlight something as well here. Let me bring this one up here. Is this it? I did a couple of videos about this. Mark Carney came out. This is the Liberal Party saying he canceled the consumer carbon tax because we're focused on real solutions that put money in your pocket while we fight climate change and build a strong economy. Pierre Poilievre has no plan for the environment or the economy, just slogans. The Liberal Party created the carbon tax. Mark Carney comes in and allegedly annuls the consumer portion of the carbon tax with a fanfare that looks like Donald Trump signing an executive order, but I don't know that we have these things in Canada. He reduced to zero the consumer portion of the carbon tax by way of this document. By order in council means, but without going through legislation, without going through government, because government's prorogued. It hasn't yet come back from its prorogation. It's March 24th. But we have to have a closer look at that document. And this is coming courtesy of Kirk Lubimov. I advise some of the companies you know and startups. He writes, there's something really disturbing about the fake piece of paper that Mark Carney signed to eliminate the consumer carbon tax. It's not an official document and vague with no reference to anything, legislation, act, law, etc. The worst part of it is that it says, I hereby instruct. Who does this unelected muppet thinks he can instruct to do such things? This is an order in council, doesn't even work like this. Everything about this is a lie. What it is, they're going to do this cheap. Here's some more money back in your pockets that we were the ones who were responsible for having taken it on in the first place. We'll put it back in there, call an election, and then the second after the election, if they are fortunate enough to have deceived enough Canadians to eke back into power, they're going to come right back and increase that carbon tax, which they reduced to zero. Look at it. It is outrageous. This is an order in council. He's signing it like it's some executive order, like he's Trump-esque, mimicking all of Trump's everything that they criticize Trump for, and it's not even clear that he can do it. But getting back to the guy who he won't. Congrats, all your American strawberries are going to go to waste. By the way, they're at Costco, from what I understand, is an American company as well. It was amazing. In response, he says things like, "Oh yeah, this is the original one." Okay, but then he's like, "Guys, I'm not an animal. I'm not promoting wasting food. FYI, I don't support food waste. I think when this doesn't sell, and it won't, it should be donated to food banks and help families in need. Thank you to Canadians for stepping up to help Canadians in need and not supporting MAGA. Yes, for those wondering, yes, it was Costco. Yes, the strawberries from the U.S. Yes, they bought. Oh, he doesn't support wasting food, but he's celebrating the fact that the food is going to go to waste if it doesn't get sold. But don't worry. Hey, we'll give it to some homeless people. This is the liberal mindset. The only reason they care about homeless people is because they can use them as political pawns. The only reason they care about illegal immigrants is so they can exploit them to pick the vegetables, to do the dirty work that they think Canadians don't want to do. And then they accuse other people of being racist. Oh, so that's what's going on in Canada. We will see if they call an election. I'm not optimistic that they will. And thus far, there's no evidence that they're going to trigger one immediately. And may some people in Parliament grow a pair, grow a conscience, and trigger the election that they had the power to trigger for the last 2+ years. Cultivated Mind says, isn't it always the case that our politicians know who the problem is, but won't do anything about it until the political winds change? Forced Name Change says, I'd like to nominate Carney for a game of Butler Dodgeball. I don't know what that is, but that's it. And then we got the Bulldozer Raid. So everybody, I dare say thank you all for being here. What we're going to do right now is take this party on over to the vivabarneslaw.locals.com. I'm going to give you that link, and then we're going to go raid Kimberly Guilfoyle. Here's Locals if you want to come over for our after party. Download the app, people. Turn on notifications, because I didn't realize this, but it was a discussion I was having in terms of Bongino, you know, he was and will be still a master of you know, the live format. Always reminded everybody to download the app. Notifications are instantaneous, so you'll never complain about having missed a live stream again. CommuTube, when you get the leftover rerun of this, not live, everybody, Viva Fry on Rumble, the Viva Fry on Twitter, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And let me see what's going on in our locals chat. I'm going to get to this in a second. Let's see if it works now. Okay, so I got to go here. Nope. I'm going to go grab the URL, which is here. And when you drop into Kimberly Guilfoyle's chat, when you go rate it, let her know from where you came and make sure there's a hard H in there. So I go, let me just make sure I'm going to screw this up again. /raid. /raid. And then this. Let me go into here and just make sure I'm doing this right. / by the way, it'll be 3:00 tomorrow. And
no, that's you need to put a space between raid and the address there. And you put that in the chat, by the way.
Where am I supposed to put it?
Try that again with the space.
/raid and then live stream URL. Okay.
And then space. Yeah.
Oh, and then confirm raid. Okay, boom.
There you go.
Okay. Go raid Kimberly Guilfoyle and be boisterous in the chat, people. And if you're going to come back tomorrow, you're going to. It's going to be 3:00 again. And then next week, it's going to be 4:00. And I've got some guests lined up. I've got to confirm some time slots. And it's going to be amazing. Rumble, Godspeed, locals, I'm coming over. And so then I'm going to go. So I just want to make sure I don't screw this up. The raid has been effective. Let me go look at Kimberly's channel. Oh, it looks like she's frozen. Raid. Let me refresh. Okay. Uh-oh. I only see a green play button on hers. Viva sent me. Okay, good. The raid is working, everybody. So I'm going to just go in here and booyah. Looks like Kim froze for a second. Stay patient. And now we're going to go to our Viva Barnes Law. .locals.com after party. All right, perfect. And now I do like this. Locals, supporters only. Update stream. Rumble, see you tomorrow. Peace. 30 seconds. Nike 7 over in Viva Barnes Law. .locals.com says liberals are opening campaign offices. An election is going this week. Nike 7. Well, Francis, I do trust you because you've been very good in information. And by the way, Francis, thank you for the tip for DataRepublican. I'm also going to go make a visit to a local sheriff's office this afternoon. Have a talk with our local authorities here. Locals, are we good now? So let me see what's going on here. I'm just looking at the chat. The numbers are dropping rapidly on Rumble, but I'm not so sure if I'm supposed to. No, I'm not going to kill the stream because then they won't see. Let me see if I can. So if I click on join. Okay, good. Did we kill it? Okay, it's good. The raid worked, and I think there's a technical issue on Kimberly's side, but that, or on Rumble Studio side. I hope it's not a problem. Locals, how's it going? Prepared Citizen says minutes are kept on everything, especially pardons in the White House information management system, ironically named WHIMS. Oh, that's funny. There is practically zero chance the pardons weren't discussed and archived here. Trump saying what he said could indicate he's had the topic chased up and has the receipts. That's my thought. It's also entirely possible that he knows to the contrary and is just throwing chaff out there to beleaguer adversaries with tail-chasing endeavors. I see the second half of that he would knowingly I will say that he would knowingly say something that he knows is not true is less likely, because that would be just too much fodder for. I think he knows that it's substantively true. Oh, let me stretch my back. I'm convinced that Trump knows that it's substantively true, and he's got the receipts to prove that it's substantively true. Like the thing is this: even if it was brought to Biden's attention, there's going to be evidence that he doesn't understand what's going on, and there's going to be evidence of cognitive impairment to the point where even if they did bring it to his attention, that would be like bringing to my grandmother, God bless her soul, when she was 101 years old. Hey, Grandma, Here's your tax return. Can you sign it? And then expect her to understand what was in the tax return. Oh, Daryl, we got a new subscriber. Booyah, Daryl-isk. Or is that Daryl LSK? Daryl, welcome to the channel. It would be really funny if that's Daryl Cooper, the historian. I think the raid thing worked well, and I think the new time slot's working well. Encryptus, what do you think? Did I screw up today?
You killed it. You had about 20K live at the peak, around 19K the majority of the show. I think it was good.
Okay, I'll have to keep.
I think it's a good time slot.
It's a good time slot, and I think it's a good format to have, like, basically all day news. It'll be free network news, plus the perks that everybody who signs up to premium can get from their favorite content creators. It's amazing. Okay, let me refresh over on Viva Barnes and see what's going on the left-hand side. Here we got Tony DeMarco, who says, when I was in radio, your new time slot was called Drive Time. Your Drive Time, Viva Fry. I like that. I mean, I like it. It is like radio. I think it's better with video, but I've been told I have a radio face. Not by my mother. My mother says I'm very good looking. But no, it's a good time slot. And they're also good about the fact that the after party, our locals community, can continue unimpeded. There's no expectation of not carrying on with our locals community while the raid continues to Kimberley. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go back to the chat and read what's going on the side here. Kissing says 3TW. Viva Fry, Dane Wodgington with Dane Widgington. Geoengineering watch. It's very funny that you mentioned this. Okay, so I'm going to watch this, the geoengineering. But when I was out biking today, I did notice what many people would look like cloud seeding in the sky, but it was cooler temperatures. And I thought maybe the cooler temperature would have to do something with the more... It looks like feathers. Like there's a line down the cloud, and then it sort of splits out like feathers or fish spines. But I think it's natural, and I don't think that it's cloud seeding or chemtrails. But I appreciate that I don't know enough about that. Rumble is trying to replace Rush Limbaugh, says Jake Jacobs 62. I think so, and I think they're doing good. Hello, David says 60 special. Hello, 60 special. World Novice says, I'm not used to seeing DataRepublican due to security reasons. Does she want to be seen? I'm concerned. I will. So now that we're among, not that I wouldn't say anything here that I know that I would not be comfortable saying on the internet. I told her, I said, note, disable your camera when you come in. Otherwise you come straight in. And then when she mentioned it's going to be a robot voice, I didn't know that she was deaf and mute. I didn't know that she was deaf and mute at all. And then I thought maybe she had accidentally showed her face and didn't want to. And then I had an absolute internal panic attack. Encryptus, did you see my life flash before my very eyes when that happened?
Oh yeah, and then it made you nervous for the rest of that.
That was the wrong answer. I'll ask the chat if they think that I looked. I was certain that it makes sense that she's already been exposed, and yeah, that's wild, and it was very. Yeah, I realized when she was not talking, after I talked, she was reading the transcript of what I just said. Then she had to type it, and then it had to dictate it. That was very interesting. Viva Fry, no Friday afternoon or Saturday swats. So is this person an observant Jew? Okay, I got that one from Peter H. Boxing is pugilistic, says Ham-Handed. Sundance, Texas, says Viva, why do the police accept a call from someone without being able to verify the person making the call? I swear to you, I don't understand. Like, I would be curious to know what percentage of bona fide legit calls, what percentage of bona fide legit calling in a criminal incident is done anonymously? I would imagine, in fact, I can tell you definitively, every time I've ever had to call the cops, they always ask for my name and number. I give it to them, but I would imagine that I give it to them thinking, first of all, I presume they have it already because I'm calling it from my phone, but I don't understand it, period. But I'm going to, 4:30, I think we're going to do something fun. Maga says Joseph P. Silvestri. Viva Fry from Gypsy Muse. DataRepublican is living in safe houses. Good people are moving her every few days. That is how fucking horribly she is being threatened because she's processing Doge data for public consumption. Fucking wild, Gypsy. Well, do I get in trouble for saying Gypsy? Gypsy Muse is the name. I cannot. Now I'm very curious, Gypsy Muse, if you are of gypsy origin. Tell me. Okay, then we got Ticiba, T-I-C-I-B-A, says the ACLU lost its way when it took on and won the case about whether English was or was not the official language in the U.S. It was written down nowhere, so they won. And the push to make U.S. bilingual English-Spanish. Originally, it was press 1 for Spanish, press 2 for English. Retrans, sorry, but unless the person commits and does the surgery, the person is just pretending and needs psychiatric help. Well, I think they might need psychiatric help, even more if they're going to cut the dicks off. But the issue still is, and I forget where I heard this, which podcast, but it was anybody who's gone through puberty will have a lifelong disadvantage over or any male who's gone through puberty, even if they remove their penis later on and take all the hormones in the world. The fact that you're taking the hormones is a testament to the biological advantage that you've gone through because of puberty, has already gone through that element of unfair advantage. Stronger bones, bigger lung capacity, bigger heart, bigger arm span, depending on the sport. So it's like, it's a no-brainer. It is, you go either in the male category, because nobody's going to complain about a biological female competing with the men, or you go in an open category. Period. That's it. There's no discrimination. Everybody lives a happy life. Reed Johnson, I always thought the CIA briefing when he became speaker was about how they would get him if he got out of line. Viva, says Gypsy Muse, and I see it over on the side there. Hungarian and Slovak Gypsy. That's very interesting. My grandmother was, my mother's mother was Romanian, or of Romanian, well, first generation Romanian. Well, that's very interesting. Okay, so this is Gypsy Muse says, Viva, there was one attorney in charge of Biden's AutoPen. That is who needs to be subpoenaed. Who was that attorney? Let's see. Encryptus, are you able to find out who was the attorney in charge of Biden's... cripe. Who was the attorney in charge of Biden's AutoPen? Let me see if I could guess. It's gonna be someone from Perkins Coie. Let's see if Grok. There's no definitive public evidence. Okay. Bob Bauer, Biden's personal attorney, is a key figure who could fit this context. Bob Bauer, a prominent lawyer and former White House counsel under Obama, served as Biden's lead personal attorney during his presidency. Okay. The AutoPen itself, though, is an administrative tool, not a legal one. Yada, yada, yada. All right. Now, where did Bob Bauer practice? Let's see here. Where did Bob Bauer practice? If it says Perkins Coie, I'm gonna actually laugh, but I'm not going to be surprised. Okay, Bob Bauer practiced law primarily at Perkins Coie. But that's actually amazing. Everything makes sense now. Am I sharing this? Yes, I am. Bob Bauer practiced primarily at Perkins Coie, and that was the first answer. So now it kind of makes sense why Trump is trying to revoke Perkins Coie, and it kind of makes sense why Perkins Coie is fighting to retain access. Unbelievable. Why do you waste your time on these low intelligence people on Twitter, says Taisiba? Because you still end up, first of all, you got to know what they're saying. And it still allows me to have some fun. Okay, and TJ says, I've seen her interview before. Now, I think I saw a new tipped question come in here from Barbs222. Viva, could you please talk to your people and ask them to change one coin to equal $1? I asked you a question once and thought I was leaving $10. What is it at now? One coin is 10 cents? I thought I was leaving $10, but only left $1. I got a little pissy when you didn't read my message. Then I sent another $1 and you tell me that you didn't read it. I feel cheap and bad. Don't feel either, Barb222. But what was your question? And I'll answer it right now. I think they want to do like increments so that people don't get stuck with one coin to $1 might be a bit much if somebody wants to give like a fraction or 50 cents or a quarter. Chien Visage Dogface says, got my six pack of Georgie last Friday. Highest recommendation in my opinion. Thanks. Oh, this one? The question is, do I have another one today? Oh, it tastes like it's made with coconut water. Filtered carbonated water, citric acid, mango. And then, all right. It's good. Okay. Geegum says, you have a video face, Viva, a very handsome. Stop it. The fabulous hair. Let me see what my hair looks like today. Yeah, it's at that good 3 days or 2 days after a wash that it starts getting back to getting curly. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now let's go refresh here and see what's going on in the chat. Billboard Chris, 1 hour ago, breaking: Canadian Prime Minister Mark J. Carney's daughter went to the UK's infamous gender clinic, the Tavistock, when she was a child. In this essay discovered by True North News, Sasha Carney, formerly Sophia, writes of her visits to Tavistock. She also rails against transphobes and tells of her inspiration for identifying as trans-masculine, a boy-girl identity encouraged by Enid Blyton books that her mother started buying her. Roostang, I'm going to go find that. I do follow Billboard Chris on Twitter. Let me just see about that. That's wild. Billboard Chris. Oh, yeah, here we go. Look at this. Let me see where my wife is. My wife. It's going. Okay, booyah. Let me see where my wife is. Okay, well, where are you guys at? Question mark. See, when I say question mark, that's how I know I'm question mark. It's almost like I'm like Michigonian. Share. Breaking. This is the tweet from him. She also railed against transphobes. Yeah. Quote, my teenage years existed in close proximity to this TERF, trans something radical feminist, trans exclusionary radical feminist driven scrutiny, which was fixated on identifying how authentically trans people like me really were. In 2013, shortly after I chopped off my hair, all of my hair into a deeply regrettable floppy Justin Bieber cut, I moved to London, the land of Enid Blyton murder mysteries. A block from my new house was the Tavistock and Portman Foundation. I watched my friend a year weekly appointments trying desperately to get an official diagnosis of gender dysphoria, was denied the diagnosis, and with it, any hope of top surgery because they sometimes wore skirts. Wow. Okay, so I'll be a little skeptical of this until I can independently verify. That may be true, but the fact that his Pierre's father is gay. What the heck is going on here? Okay, get this out of here. That's wild. I didn't know that. I'm going to make sure that it's true before putting it on further repetition. Refresh. Let's go see what's in the chat here. Okay, we got Lefson with a beautiful pileated wood. Is that a pileated woodpecker? I don't think that's a pileated woodpecker. That's a little woodpecker. It's cheating if you use a bird feeder to get the bird lesson, but that's a beautiful picture. What do we got up here? Power Cleric says, I Rumble going to add folders or playlist in Rumble going to add playlists. We're about to upload 100 videos. It's going to be a little rough without better management. Well, let me just take a picture of this and send it directly to the man. And message here. And I'll just say this here. Question from the community. Okay. Question from our locals community. Okay. Well, I'll get an answer for that. Power Cleric ASAP. But that's what I wanted to ask, by the way. Does anybody have a link to the Don Jr. podcast, his stream, where he mentioned Trump for AG? Because I want to clip that. Is Viva going to interview DataRepublican today? We did it already. It was it was 15 minutes in the beginning. I didn't. I will absolutely have her back on. I just want to double check what I can ask because I didn't realize. First of all, I'm a naive buffoon. I didn't know what she was going through. I didn't know that she was deaf, and I don't want to ask too many questions, especially for what she's going through. Barbs 222 says, we were talking about people that are in prison unjustly, and I wanted to know if prisoners could request gifts from somewhere. You answered you didn't know, so I've been thinking they need to set up something like a wedding gift registry, but for prisoners. So I asked Jake Lang that question. There's a lot of things that they're not allowed having in prison. Cripe, I've missed Dexter's call for the last 8 times he called, maybe 7. I'll get an answer to that. I know that they have something similar, but there are so many restricted items that they're not allowed having in prison, and things that you'd never even think of, like gum, Jolly Ranchers. My kid, by the way, was for all he's not learning from the interwebs, he learned a lot from this channel. Oh, cripe! It's an auto generator. It's oh geez, whatever. He learns a bunch of stuff. So you can't have gum because they can jam up keyholes and you can take key imprints. You can't have Jolly Ranchers because they can actually heat it up and turn it into something sharp. I have to turn my phone back on. Okay, so that's that. Lesson says it's my wife's feeders in our front yard. Good place to practice so I can capture the photos in the wild reliably. So I went for a bike ride before today's show, just an easy 13 mile. The wind was terrible. I saw 4 gators, but I saw again those red-shouldered hawks with fish in its feet, and I'm not doing it because I'm going to get my dad's lens. I'm not spending that ridiculous amount of money on one of those massive telephoto lenses, but I need one of those telephoto lenses. The 7200 is just not enough telephoto, and I don't want to get like a 500 6.3 f-stop crappy thing. So I've just got to tell my dad, convince my dad that the lens is too heavy for him. He's going to fall over and he's going to break a hip, and he should give me the lens for his own safety. I think I can make that argument. Nike 7 says that any of us can speak to you and be 1 or 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon from an answer. Viva didn't know she was deaf. No, I didn't. I only found out about her Twitter handle when Francis Charton texted it to me. And are you going to have an interview with Billboard Chris on? Rustang, yeah, I think I'm going to DM him and get him back on. It's been a while. SVA 123. You can rent camera lenses if you don't want to commit. I'm sure there are online rental companies. Yes, but I'm not only a cheap bastard, but I'm an economical one as well. I don't want to spend $100 to rent something if it's going to cost. Look, I can rationalize getting it. It's just I don't particularly want to. Plus, I got to pay taxes. So I'm going to keep. Look at that! Come on, that's a pileated woodpecker right there. Hold on. My father's got a great lens. I know that he'll let me indefinitely use it. So I just got to get him down to Florida. That's glorious. Oh, sorry. Am I not sharing it? Is it not going to let me share now? Do we see it? No, see, it's done. Let me refresh here and just see this. Don't worry, I am back. Okay, here we go. Let me share this one here. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you're seeing it. Look at that flipping amazing marvel of nature. These eyes. Look at this. The dirt on its beak, it's getting there like eating up some maggots and stuff. Never liked birds. I still don't really like birds as animals. They're very, when you touch them, they're brittle and bony. I just lost all of the chat in here, so I'm going to go back to locals. Lefson has lens for sales, I'm sure. I got the Nikon body. Viva, just grow up. Tell her never uses it and you're too old and cheap to buy your own. All said as you walk out with the lens. He once lent it to me and I had it for a good 6 months. Then he remembered I had it. One of the people says ample animal protein intake has to be proven to increase bone density in the elderly. Bone is 40% protein by dry weight. Okay, fine. Don't touch then. I love it. Dad, you don't use it and I'm too cheap to buy one. It's a wonderful symbiotic relationship for me taking your lens. All right, let me go see what else. I think I had some stuff in the backdrop that I was going to bring up. Let me see here. The Blaze. No, Speaker Johnson I brought up. Why? Okay, so we got Rumble app. Okay, we did this. The AutoPen and X. No, that's it. We did everything, people. All right. Viva needs a lens. I don't need a lens fund. It's not lack of, first of all, if I can't afford something, I'm not getting it. So I'm not going to crowdfund for something I don't need that I can't afford. That's irresponsible. And it's also not respectful. No, I could get one if I wanted to, but I do feel I have to amortize the cost in terms of being able to, like, what the cool thing is I could actually use it as a camera because I'm talking myself into it right now. The D800 body that I have shoots video. So I could absolutely shoot telescopic telephoto video and sell the video to Newsflare, licensing agency. No, it's still going to be easier just to take my dad's. Plus, I'm going to get one, and then my dad's not going to give it. No, we're not going to have two. Okay, done. You had a great day, brother, says Nike 7. Lifting heavy things strengthens bones is what I hear these days, it says Sammy. Yeah, there's a whole thing that you're supposed to, like, do core weights, just walk around the block with heavy weights, which did you guys see my, I guess everybody saw, if you saw the vlog yesterday, you saw my run with the parkour with the kids, trying to keep it real. I'm a little sore today, but not as sore as I thought I would be. All right, let's say we'll take 10 more comment questions. Gypsy Muse says, "Happy St. Patrick's Day. Conor McGregor at White House today." Yeah, I saw that too. Who sent me that? Hold on, I'll bring that one up. I love. First of all, I know that I've been told. I said once I loved Conor McGregor. Then people start jumping down my throat. Hey, he's a degenerate. He threw the wheelie thing, the dolly at a bus. I love Conor McGregor. I love the Irish accent. He was, like, as far as I'm concerned, if not the best fighter of all time, one of the best to watch. I love the Irish accent almost as much as I love the Scottish accent. And yeah, he was at the White House, and this is what he had to say. Yeah, bring this up. He's saying what everyone else is thinking, people.
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed. And the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
It's obvious. And he's right. He looks a little nervous. I'm not used to seeing Conor McGregor look nervous, but he definitely looked nervous there. Oh, yeah. Ken1979 says, "Viva, I hope Conor McGregor gets to be PM and kicks forgive me, I'm not going to read the second half of that, but I know it kicks out the people who the government has let infiltrate the country. It's an objectively big problem." Para Clark says, "Viva, if you need some Irish trad music, we set up new tunes on our Rumble page. Not big enough to shill yet. Hold on, Rumble. Well, hold on. Okay, this is cool. Here, Down the Pub. Is this it right? This is Down the Pub? I'm going to show it right now. Down the Pub. And you know, oh gosh. I'm going to go back to a classic right now. Hold on a second. Let's go Viva Fry Irish. I think it would be under Irish Jig. The Irish Jig. Here it is. Oh, yeah. Is it? Do I have two of these? Holy crab apples. Did I do this twice? Okay, here. Let's. Bleh. Okay, sorry. That's the noise that my kid is making in this video, which is 8 years old now. Which kid is this? St. Patty's Day special. I might have to go share this one again. Psst. Hey, what's this? Oh, Barney. Come on. All right, I'm gonna have to go rip that and share that again, because that's gonna bring back some good memories and some bad memories. I was talking with someone that, going back and looking at videos from a while back. There's a great sense of grief that I have looking at those videos when the world was different. And it's yeah, okay. Well, I won't get upset, but that was cute. Okay, we got Ken 1979 says, Viva, I'm a traditional Catholic. I've decided I'm done apologizing for the Crusades. In fact, when you capture men for 400 years and enslave the women, eventually people get sick of it. Black Americans act like they were the only ones enslaved, but slaves literally gave us the world. Oh, Slavs literally gave us the world. Slave. Yeah, there's no. First of all, it's an amazing thing where you also like what I was brought up understanding of the Crusades versus what the Crusades actually were. Very interesting in terms of retrospectively reassessing everything that you've ever thought you understood. In the Belfry, which is what I got distracted, said, Viva, time for one more. I'm not allowed saying how old my wife is, but she's 43. That I'm told is too old for another baby. What a treat it is for us on Locals to see the wonderful photos from Lefson. It's beautiful. And May says, Viva, you're a wonderful person. Well, thank you very much. I do feel like I might have got, self-doubt, people. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's good. I guess it keeps you in check. That is it. Let me go refresh here and make sure that I haven't missed anything. An attorney for ICANN shares documents obtained from the government on geoengineering, weather modification, and solar radiation, says one of the people. And over on Tipped Questions, Roostang says, what a treat it is for us on Locals to see the wonderful photos from Lefson. And that is it. Okay, I am actually going to go to the local sheriff's office and make friends and make sure that they're aware of the situation, just so that it's known. But we're in a good neighborhood, and I got good neighbors, and I've got good cameras everywhere. And where's my other phone? We got the Ring. So, all right, people, go and enjoy the day. Thank you all for being here. This has been wonderful. Day one of the new lineup, and I hope it went well. Godspeed, God bless, and I will see you all tomorrow, if not earlier. Peace.